Well, good morning. Happy Monday, April 29th. We're almost out of April. Oh my goodness. And it's been a crazy April. Yesterday was so beautiful outside. I don't know if you were able to get out there, but it was not hot at all. Well, for me, it wasn't hot. I mean, it may have been hot for other people, but for me, it was absolutely not hot. And what a great weekend we had. We kind of came to the culmination of the capital campaign, and people were able to offer their commitments to God. And afterwards, we had a tent out on the courtyard, this huge 40 by 20 tent with all these tables under it, and people were able to be out of the sun. Although it would have been a great day without the tent too, because the weather wasn't too bad. So anyway, we had French toast sticks and sausage and fruit and yogurt, and people were able to enjoy each other's company. It took a team of about 4 people to put the tent up. Maybe it was 6 people, about an hour and a half. Apparently, that's kind of what it was. And the longest part of the whole thing apparently was filling all the buckets, because here in Vail, you could get the Vail Gale. So they have these 55-gallon drums that were tied to the corners of the tent to hold it down. And that was actually the hardest part, to get rid of 55 gallons of water in an efficient way that could actually go and water some plants. We didn't want to just put it in the desert. So anyway, but it was a great weekend, just really, really wonderful. Very God-filled weekend. I'm so grateful for everything that God does at Christ Youth in Vail. It's been about 20 years since kind of the team started meeting on Sunday night. There was a Bible study and a meal and some singing and just some fellowship. And it was just really, really a great time, even before worship started. And that was probably about 20 years ago this summer. And then 19 years ago this summer, which would have been 2005, is when I was assigned to Vail, Arizona. And I was like, what am I getting into? What hath God wrought for me? But it's been an incredible journey. I didn't know. I mean, 20 years. I mean, think about what you were doing 20 years ago. Think about what you were doing 40 years ago. 40 years is most of a career, so half of my career. It's hard to imagine that I spent 20 years as an engineer and 20 years as a pastor. Just really quite remarkable. Anyway, so, I'm not done as a pastor, just so you know. I'm not, this isn't an announcement or anything. Just 20 years as a pastor, 20 years as an engineer. And let's see, what else? Beautiful morning outside, quarter moon or half moon out in the morning. It's beautiful. So it is waning. In another 2 weeks, it'll be a new moon. I guess that's about it. Oh, I was going to look at birthdays. Let's see what we got for birthdays. I got to look it up here. I ran into a little bit of a snag this morning, so I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball. April 29th, Ada McDuff. Happy birthday, Ada. May God richly bless your day today. And then, the next ones are a couple days away. All right. So another housekeeping thing, you'll notice that one of our major sponsors, listeners, hasn't been on for a couple weeks. And it turns out that Miss Polly was suspended from Facebook for apparently no reason. She doesn't post. She doesn't really do anything. The only reason she's on is because that's the MOPS ladies, they post stuff on Facebook. And so she'll look at that, and every once in a while she'll like one of their posts. And then she watches this Bible study, and that's it. And Facebook suspended her account. And she's like, I have no idea why they suspended my account. And so she filed the paperwork to appeal the suspension but she hasn't heard anything back about that. And who knows how long that takes? I mean, it could take a year. I don't know. It's not like there are people at Facebook just dying to listen to appeal cases, because most of the time I'm sure that there's probably some reason. But as far as when I've talked to her, it doesn't seem to be any reason. So she could, I suppose, set up a new account, but she doesn't have a different email address. So it's likely that they wouldn't approve a new account under the same email address. And she's had that email address for 30 years. She's not about to change her email address. So she's kind of in a catch-22 situation. Not exactly sure. She asked if there's other platforms that we could stream to besides Facebook so that she could get to it. And I'm looking into that. It is quite possible that I might have to reconfigure some things. I don't really want to get off of Facebook, but the flip side is that you want to be on a platform that's not just randomly kicking people off. I mean, that is certainly not good business practice. And we have, I don't know, 3-4 years of Facebook posts, every day. I don't really want to get rid of that either. So I'm struggling with that because she really, really, really misses being with us on Sunday morning or on the weekdays. So I guess I could post process and upload it. I was doing that at one point, uploading at least the Bible study portion to YouTube, but not the commentary before the Bible study. And I think that's part of the stuff that she enjoys too. So I'm still struggling with how to rectify at least what I can do on my end on this. And I don't really think it'll impact all of you at all. But so where is it? We disable Facebook accounts that might not follow the Facebook terms. Some examples of why your Facebook account might be disabled: posting content that doesn't follow Facebook terms. She doesn't really post anything. Using a fake name. Doesn't do that. Impersonating someone. Definitely doesn't do that. Continuing behavior that's not allowed on Facebook and goes against our community standards. Doesn't really do that. Contacting other people for the purpose of harassment, advertising, promoting, or other conduct that's not allowed. Doesn't really do that. So there's really no reason for her account to be suspended. The question is whether or not anybody at Facebook cares. I mean, that's really the bottom line. And who knows, maybe I'll get suspended for saying these things. I don't know. I just don't know. You keep going with the technology that you have until you can't, right? And then you stop, reconfigure, reconsider, and figure out what the next steps are. Okay, let's get into our study. David has fled Jerusalem. We are in 2 Samuel 16. David has fled Jerusalem. One of his confidants, or his advisors, is a guy named Hushai, the Archite. He wants to come with David. And David says, no, why don't you stay back here? Now, the Talmud, which is the Jewish commentary on the Old Testament, has said that maybe one of the reasons why David sent him back is that he was old. He was a very wise old confidant, and maybe he wouldn't have made the trip. Basically because earlier it says that may have slowed David down. So he goes back, but he really is loyal to David. And he's like, what do I do? And David said, well, you can be my spy. What if there's an opportunity for you to help me out, why don't you use your position as counselor to help me out? And so Hushai, the Archite, goes back to Jerusalem, and then Absalom is on his way to Jerusalem. And that's where we'll pick up the story. Absalom and all the people that want to conquer David and Jerusalem are now in Jerusalem. And they will be surprised to find out that, or maybe they won't be, but that David's not there. David has fled, so they can have Jerusalem all to themselves. So we pick up the story in 2 Samuel 16, beginning at verse 15. Meanwhile, Absalom and all the men of Israel came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel was with him. Just a quick Ahithophel was David's counselor and went to Absalom and now counsels for Absalom. So he is faithful to Absalom, not David. Hushai the Archite is loyal to David, but he's in Jerusalem. All right. Then Hushai the Archite, David's confidant, went to Absalom and said to him, "Long live the king, long live the king." And Absalom said to Hushai, "So this is the love you show your friend? If he's your friend, why didn't you go with him?" So Absalom's like, "Wait a minute, why are you saying long live the king to me? So he's known him because he grew up with this man in the royal court. He saw that he was a counselor to his father. And he's like, why are you being loyal to me? What kind of friend are you? You know, my dad leaves Jerusalem and you don't go with him. What's up here? You're pledging your loyalty to me. You should be pledging your loyalty to my father." He's a little bit suspect. Verse 18, Hushai said to Absalom, "No, the one chosen by the Lord, by these people, and by all the men of Israel, his I will be, and I will remain with him. Furthermore, whom should I serve? Should I not serve the son, just as I served your father? So I will serve you." So he lays this trap. Obviously, Absalom is concerned. He's like, "I don't know if I can trust you." And he says, "Why? I served your father, and now I'm serving the son. And by the way, I served your father not because I was loyal to your father, but because I was loyal to Israel. And if a new king comes into Israel, I will be loyal to that king. Your father's gone. He's not coming back. And you are now the king. So I will proclaim you king. I will follow you. There's no traitorous thing in my life." Now, what we know is that there was. He was definitely on David's team. And Absalom kind of accepts this explanation, doesn't put him to death, doesn't kick him out. Maybe he's not going to trust him or look at what he says with a jaundiced eye. Who knows? But Absalom decides, okay, fine. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to kick you out, but I'm going to continue to be king. So what should I do as king? Well, let's find out. Verse 20. Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Give us your advice. What should we do?" And Ahithophel answered, "Well, sleep with your father's concubines, whom he left to take care of the palace. Then all Israel will hear that you have made yourself obnoxious to your father, and the hands of everyone with you will be more resolute." So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and he slept with his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. So, I mean, what does it mean to be in the sight of all Israel? Does this mean that he went on the roof with a tent over him and all Israel could watch him with the concubines? Or is this they could see that he was going in and out of the tent with the concubines? I don't know. But definitely all of Israel could see that Absalom was kind of violating all the concubines. I mean, that was kind of what they were there for. But you didn't do this to the king's. I mean, basically, it's showing total dominance over David in the palace. David's not there, and one of the benefits of the palace is to have the concubines. And so he's going to go and he's going to say, "Well, fine, they're my concubines now." And so he does this, and he does it kind of like in front of all of Israel, so they can see it. And this is definitely a dominance move, and oftentimes these types of sexual behaviors are dominance moves. But was it a good move? Was it a wise move? Do the people accept this? Who knows? I mean, it's an unusual power play, but it's the power play that he chooses. You can't really have offspring. You can have offspring with concubines, but they are not in the royal line. I mean, the difference between a wife and a royal, let me put it this way. If you have a child with a concubine and there are no other children, it's possible that child could be an heir. But if you have a child with somebody that you're married to, that child definitely is an heir. So these, if they have children, they will not be heirs to the throne. They potentially could if there weren't anybody else, but no. David has wives. He's got plenty of wives. He's got plenty of heirs to the throne. The only purpose for the concubines is for pleasure, and to take care of the palace too. I guess they live there, and it's not just sexual activity. Maybe they take care of them. Maybe they have assigned roles in the palace also, besides sleeping with the king. All right, 23. Now, in those days, the advice of Ahithophel gave was like that of one who inquires of God. That was how both David and Absalom regarded all of Ahithophel's advice. So it appears that Ahithophel, when he served David or when he has served Absalom, both times, it appeared to both these people that he was really seeking God's will and trying to give good advice, trying to be wise in what God says and to provide counsel, to say, this is what I believe God is saying to you, and allowing the kings to follow that advice. Ahithophel seems to be an honest man, honestly channeling the advice of God and bringing it to both kings. All right. So Absalom sleeps with all the concubines. He shows his power, and now he's firmly entrenched in Jerusalem. But now what does he do? And we'll find out, verse chapter 17. Ahithophel said to Absalom, I would choose 12,000 men and set out tonight in pursuit of David. I would attack him while he was weary and weak. I would strike him with terror, and then all of the people with him will flee. I would strike down only the king and bring all the people back to you. The death of the man you seek will mean the return of all. All the people will be unharmed. This plan seemed good to Absalom and all the elders of Israel. So David's fleeing. Now remember, he has donkeys and he has food. So it's not like this is true. It's not like that they are really going to be that. If they all left on foot, they could all be tired. But and they didn't have donkeys for everybody. But the fact that David is fleeing and is tired is true. But it's also true that if an army goes after David, they will be tired also. But this is probably the right move. Typically, leaders, if you're going to lead an invading army, one of the things you don't want to do is to wait too long, because the enemy can regroup, figure out their battle strategies, entrench themselves, figure out how to, David, as he's fleeing, is probably trying to figure out, okay, if he comes after me, what am I going to do? Where am I going to hide? How are we going to live our life to avoid this tragic battle that could happen if he comes after me? David's been a military commander long enough to understand those things. And so you don't want David to prepare for this. You don't want David to regroup and to think, because David will outthink Absalom every time. And David's probably thinking that Absalom won't chase after him because Absalom isn't a military commander. And so he does. Ahithophel actually is giving good advice to be an aggressive commander to go after David. It's like 12,000 men. Pick your biggest army, go after David, defeat him. And but I wouldn't kill them all. I would say, listen, when you get to this battle, I would go in, find David, kill the head of the Hydra, and once you kill David, and people realize that David's dead, and now they have to follow a new king, and the new king is Absalom, who's the son of David, there's a high probability that they will come back to Jerusalem and serve you, because David's dead. What good is it serving a king that is dead? They might be loyal to David, but David doesn't exist anymore. And you're the rightful heir. And what are people going to do? They're going to follow you. Most people are like sheep, right? They want to be told what to do. They want a comfortable life. And if you kill the king and there's a new king, they'll be like, okay, fine, we'll follow the new king. And so this is probably not bad advice from Ahithophel. Especially, it seems like really good military advice. It doesn't say that he consulted God on this, but he has been around David long enough to see how David thinks, and so he's giving his best advice. But Absalom now does something. He said, verse 5, but Absalom said, summon also Hushai the Archite, so we can hear what he has to say as well. And when Hushai came to him, Absalom said, Ahithophel has given this advice. Should we do what he says? If not, give us your opinion. And Hushai replied to Absalom, the advice Ahithophel has given you is not good. You know your father and his men, they're fighters, and as fierce as wild bear robbed of her cubs. Besides, your father's an experienced fighter. He will not spend the night with the troops. Even now, he's hid in a cave or some other place. If he should attack your troops first, whoever hears about it will say, there has been a slaughter among the troops who follow Absalom. Then even the bravest soldier whose heart is like the heart of a lion will melt with fear, for all of Israel knows that your father's a fighter and that those with him are brave. So it seems like this guy, Hushai the Archite, is spoiling the plan that Absalom has received from Ahithophel. So now he has two conflicting ideas. One is go after David with all your might, 12,000 men, and the other is wait, because David is already a great military commander. He's already planning the battle. It's not going to go well with you, and so stay in Jerusalem. Fight. Choose your battles another day. That's the two that are presented to Absalom. So verse 11. So I advise you, let all Israel from Dan to Beersheba, as numerous as the sand on the seashore, be gathered to you, with you yourself leading them into battle. Then we will attack him wherever he may be found, and we will fall on him as dew settles on the ground. Neither he nor any of his men will be left alive. If he withdraws into a city, then all Israel will bring ropes to that city, and we will drag it down to the valley until not so much as a pebble is left. So his plan would be to wait, gather an even larger army, and then go find David and attack him. Now, why is this a problem? Why is this bad advice? Well, first of all, it's not very nimble. The larger the army, the more it takes to plan. And David actually is very, very good at guerrilla warfare. He can fight against a larger army, no problem, because he's done that before. And he knows that the weaknesses of very, very, very large armies. And so basically this is going to stage a battle against David that they cannot possibly win. This really does favor David. This puts David in the sweet spot, and it puts Absalom in a horrible spot, because the larger the army, the better the leader, and Absalom's just not ready yet to do this. It's like bringing the whole entire British army against the Americans, at the Revolutionary War. There's just no way. You have to have the best of the best leading, and Absalom is not the best of the best. The better advice would be to take a small, if you really, really wanted to defeat David, knowing what I know about David, is find, 10 men, go seek them down, find out where they're staying, in the middle of the night, go in and decapitate them. It's a risk, but that'd be the best. Or what Ahithophel says is probably good too. So which way is he going to go? Is he going to go with Ahithophel, or is he going to go with Hushai the Archite? And we'll have to wait until next episode to figure out what happens and how it goes. So let's close in prayer. Dear God, thanks for this day. And until we meet again, keep us in your grace. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Let's see. I'm going over here. Yes. So many people saying that they miss Polly. Yeah. Anyway, so, all right. What a beautiful day. Thank you for joining me. And may God richly bless your day. And we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Blessings. Bye.